Welcome to the Cloud Pod, where the forecast is always cloudy. We talk weekly about all things AWS, GCP, and Azure. We are your hosts,
Justin,
Jonathan,
Ryan,
and Peter.
Episode 151, recorded on February 2nd. The Cloud Pod free trial ends next month. Or does it? Good evening, Jonathan, Ryan, and Peter. We're a full house tonight.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little too soon with Bob Saget's death, falling a full house. I don't know.
Oh, goodness.
But it's nice to see everyone's faces. First time in the new year that all of us have made it to the show, so that's great. And then next week we're back to we're not having everyone here, but that's okay. We're gonna make it work.
Episode 151 made me like Pavlov's dog. I flinched from college drinking Bacardi.
Nice. Those are definite problems. All right, well, we have some news. Let's get into it. First up, some general stuff here. Zscaler CEO Jay Chaudhry says that Zero Trust has been hijacked by the network security firms. He said Zero Trust, of course, one of the current buzzwords that's taking the world by storm. And of course, this is something that marketers will take advantage of. Jay contends that you're practicing Zero Trust or you're investing in network security. You can't do both. And true Zero Trust involves connecting users directly to applications without going over the network at all. And that this is the opposite of securing your network architecture. He contends that legacy companies have hijacked the term and it's lost all its meaning. Somewhere like cloud, but that's okay. Of course, Zscaler is biased in this as they have a Zero Trust Exchange, which confines a cloud-based secure web gateway with a cloud delivery Zero Trust network access, ensuring that only the authorized users can connect to your applications. And Zscaler, I mean, of all the companies that could be doing Zero Trust, I could see how they have probably a pretty good play there with a centralized proxy server kind of architecture that they've built out. But what do you guys think about this idea that everyone else is hijacked it and you can't do both?
I agree.
I mean, I do. I agree with the premise. I also think that it's a little bit, they are sort of coming from the perspective of their solution is just, it's really not compatible with having internal networks, protecting it with high walled gardens. So it's a little bit sort of how do you get there would be my question. If you are on that Zero Trust journey.
Just on day one, push everything out of your NAT box and back in the front door and then figure it out.
Yeah.
I guess you're still aiming to meet the same compliance requirements, regardless of how you choose to do that. You do the Zero Trust model, or do you do the old-fashioned firewalls and VPNs, and everyone sort of is funneled through the centralized piece of infrastructure?
I always thought Zero Trust just made things so much simpler. Just treat every network as a public network, and then there's going to be workloads that's a bigger challenge to get them in your business workflow, especially legacy stuff. But it does simplify your overall architecture. Just we're not trusting the network, period. And I like that.
Yeah, I like it as well. And I agree that it's probably not the same company delivering both things, or at least in the same appliance or the same area, but they can support each other. So I sort of disagree on some of the contention that they can't be completely, have some overlaps. I do think there's some ability to validate, trust but verify that your Zero Trust is working with this network appliance that can then tell you that it's actually validating or not working. So I think there's definitely different options around some of that. But overall, I kind of agree with his main point.
I would kind of argue that the biggest flaw in the internet today in IPv4 was that we chose to make the assumption that the network was private and trusted, right? That's the main flaw.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of stuff which was never encrypted. I mean, even DNS today, for the most part, unencrypted. And that's such a vector for attack.
Not to mention, if you look back at the original networks and we've got a hub and we have a message for a specific machine and we decide to send it to everybody and trust that only the machine who it's sent to is going to listen to it. I mean, that's the whole concept of TCP/IP, right?
Yeah. Agreed. All right, well, let's move on to AWS news. So Friday night, as I was wrapping up for the day, I got this email in my inbox, and it said, it was from Amazon about a new feature for guard duty for EKS, which is not the way they typically announce anything, because normally they just, announce it into nothingness. And so, they basically, this email starts out: guard duty for EKS protection is now enabled for your account for a free 30 days to expand threat detection to cover Amazon EKS. And if you operate from a guard duty administrator account, the EKS protection is now also enabled for all of your member accounts. And I said, well, that's interesting choice, because I don't use EKS in my account, so I don't know why you would turn this on for me. But then I kept reading, and it was all good until I got to the free trial period will end on February 24th, 2022 at 23:59 Pacific Standard Time. The following the free trial period, EKS protection will convert to paid usage. Well, now I have a problem. Because, we started out with fine, you gave us access to a feature, that's fine, but now you're going to turn it on by default and you're going to charge me for this thing that I didn't ask you to do. This is, completely not something I would expect from Amazon. And it's something I think completely violates trust of their customers in big ways. And of course, most of the internet did as well. And by Tuesday, February 1st, they rolled this back. So they are not going to charge you after the free trial is over. But, in general, this is just kind of ridiculousness. And so I'm starting to wonder what's going on over at AWS. We talked about the Orca issues with, the security rollout and why they didn't do a better blog post and how they miffed that. And now we have this, we're turning on things in your account that are going to cost you money, and I saw the earnings, we'll talk about earnings next week, but they look pretty good. So I'm not entirely sure why they're turning on features that are going to cost me money with no notice, and now put the onus on me to go turn this stuff off.
Wait for the
He'll
customers.
He'll let a sales guy into the product pricing room by accident.
Wait for the customers who do want it turned on, they get it turned off on the February 25th, because the system doesn't tell the difference between somebody who turned it off who didn't want it or somebody who didn't turn it off who did want it.
Yeah, but I mean, you can turn it back on, and that's a choice. If you're using it, you're most likely going to do that after 30 days. I mean, any time where you're going to spend my money, no, I want that needs to involve some action on my behalf, right? I enable auto scaling, I enable these things, and I assume the cost for that, and that's important. And I thought it was very interesting how they rolled it back too, which is that they're still going to enable it automatically and have it run for 30 days, and then they're going to turn it off and show you the cost, right? So it's I think that's sort of a tell on what they were trying to accomplish, which is I imagine the idea is that it's going to be $3.50, and they're going to want you to turn it back on, right?
Yeah,
I hope that's at least what they're doing.
I mean, I did try to go look at the pricing because I thought maybe it's really cheap. CloudTrail's pretty cheap. Other than the data storage you're paying for. But the pricing model on this thing is not easy to decipher by a layman. And so I think that's a bit of the challenge. But again, I also wondered, is there something so wrong with your EKS implementation that they desperately want you to see it in guard duty so you'll fix it? And that's why they turned it on for everybody. So you now know you have this one problem. But it's definitely not the best light for Amazon this month.
I think it's more along the lines of Kubernetes is very popular and sort of ubiquitous, and so they're using the open source product to back EKS, and they're not really in control of all the patching and vulnerabilities and that. And so I think they are a little worried that they're going to end up having to deal with multiple customers who just got their Kubernetes clusters owned somehow.
I see so many angles to this. I mean, I think I agree with all of you. I think it's a huge gaffe to just say, hey, we're going to make you pay for something you didn't ask for. But I can also see people turned on guard duty and they didn't turn it on for EKS service clusters because it didn't exist yet, but they turned it on for everything. And they kind of turned on guard duty and they want everything on. And so as guard duty adds new features, they expect to, have those added without them having to go research it and do it.
Well,
and then
it was unclear to me though that if I didn't have guard duty enabled as well, would it also have turned on guard duty, which could
that would be a different story.
I mean,
so that's the way I read it, was that they were enabling guard duty.
Yeah, they were not only enabling this for EKS, they were also enabling guard duty in your account.
Yeah.
And so that was where I also had some concerns because guard duty can be expensive depending on what you have it checking out.
Yeah, I can't. I'll go check. I'll go check my accounts that don't have guard duty because they're accounts that I tried to get hacked. But no, I'm kidding. We have sandbox accounts that I can go look and see if guard duty got enabled.
That's a good idea, actually. I have a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta look at my account as well, I guess.
Mhm.
And now I'm more intrigued by this foghorn honeypot situation going on.
Yeah.
Okay,
All sorts of good stuff going on.
what kind of data is in this honeypot? Like, what's the bait? Lots of questions.
There, I'll tell you what. It's the 49ers next offseason recruiting plan, draft plan is in there if you can get in.
Trade Jimmy Garoppolo for a first round draft pick.
Yes.
That's the plan.
Yes. Kyle Shanahan entrusted in Foghorn to secure that, and instead I just put it in a Sandbox account.
Yeah, perfect. Nicely done. All right. Well, while you guys do real time follow up, I'm going to move us on to our next story, and then you can bring us back to the first one if you guys determine that guard duty was turned on or off. But
oh my God, can you do it or can I do it? I don't know if I can do it. Let's see.
You guys committed to doing it. I could have done it as well.
You're gonna hear angry. The problem is everyone's gonna complain about angry typing.
Here, I'll do it quietly.
Angry typing is the best.
Okay, you do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, Amazon is releasing a new EC2 X2 IEZ and instance, just rolls right off the tongue, powered by the fastest Intel Xeon scalable CPU for memory intensive workloads. This uses the Cascade Lake processors with an all-core turbo clock frequency of 4.5 gigahertz and up to 1.5 terabytes of RAM. Hey, this might run Elastic for you guys. You haven't used that. AWS says that they deliver a 55% better price performance per vCPU compared to the X1E instances. These instances you can turn off Intel hyperthreading as well as enable NUMA for memory access if you understand your application's memory access patterns, which everyone uses the SDK, so no one knows how their access patterns are. And as this is now the new most expensive instance you can run at a low $1,217 per month for the lowest shape, up to $7,305 per month. And so, make sure you know what you're doing with these, or you'll make your CFO cry when you get the bill. So these are pretty nice, but very expensive. But if you have these workloads, you are desperate for this performance.
Pricing like that, it's going to fit right in with the Oracle pricing or the SQL Server licensing it's probably intended for.
The goal is that the number is big enough, but not bigger than the SQL or Oracle cost, right? So
get more money out of your core.
Yeah, I do.
License pricing.
Yeah, exactly. This does follow the new I labeling, which is for Intel. So the instance naming is only getting more and more complicated with these I's and the different letters for AMD, etc. So do keep that in mind. If you are curious why it's so long now, it's all because of the new indicator for ARM versus Intel versus AMD versus something else that they probably will have in the future, which have different letters. Just make your life more hard and more confusing, and confuse you in the Amazon certification test. So, be great. Which of these combinations of letters does not exist? A, B, C,
yeah, right.
That'd be the question. All right. Well, moving to Amazon is announcing a new open source project under the Apache License v2, the AWS Cloud Map MCS controller for Kubernetes. It allows Kubernetes native service discovery capability that works across Kubernetes clusters. The multi-cluster service discovery allows applications to understand what services exist in an environment so that you can discover and communicate with each other, even when apps are deployed across several different Kubernetes clusters. This leverages some of the new CRDs proposed by the Kubernetes community, including the service export and service import CRD. So this is great. Nice to see Amazon, launch their version of this. I'm sure everyone else will copy them and release their own competing open source projects because no one wants to use Amazon's. But here you go. If you are in the AWS ecosystem, this is a great way to go. You're trying to do multi-cluster service discovery without, putting something like console or something else in place.
And does it have to? I mean, I was assuming that you don't have to be running on Amazon to get value out of this.
You do not.
Or is it tightly integrated with any AWS services? You do not.
It is not. It is open source. It is not something you have to be on AWS to get advantage of. You can use it on Google. You can use it on Azure. Unless you're trying to use a lot of the cloud map capabilities, that's where it will cause you some challenges. But for the most part, you're good.
Well, you can't complain that. I guess it's a little bit of proof that they're not completely trying to kill open source.
Oh, they just push things into open source when it's convenient for them. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So real-time follow-up.
Oh, nice.
Turns out I do have guard duty enabled in my accounts, and so I quickly created a new one, and it does not come with guard duty enabled. And so we will see if it automatically gets updated. But I suspect that it's not. I think these are limited to just the Kubernetes detection. Now that I
so just accounts that already had guard duty enabled now also enabled EKS.
Or these.
I mean, I don't know if I can count a new account you just created because,
Well, and so I will. If it changes, I'm going to leave it because I assume in the next few days it would get enabled. So we'll see.
So you'll get a fun email that'll confuse you, and then a retraction. If it's I would have thought they would have just turned this off after all of these issues. They were like, yeah, maybe this wasn't a good plan, and we're not going to do this at all for new accounts. But and then did you get a different date for your ending time? I don't know. Questions now.
Yeah, I mean I like I like what they're doing now after they've rolled it back, like enabling a saying, let it generate some findings, prove its worth, and then turn it off. But yeah, turning it on and charging me for it after 30 days if I'm not paying attention, that's not cool.
Yeah,
that is not cool.
Agreed. Well, I also have an account that did not have guard duty enabled, and I know for sure. And I do see that it has now been turned on for my account. But
well, there you go.
And I'm also curious about other regions because guard duty is a regional service, and so that's sort of a curiosity too. This is riveting audio for our radio listeners. Listen to Tech Nerds walk around a console, which, by the way, the new console still sucks. 2 weeks later, I'm still not used to it. It still
sucks.
Quite annoying.
I'm getting used to it. I still want it to do more than it does, but
it's just, to me, it's so much more like something Microsoft designed.
Yeah, it's not great. So other regions is not going to enable though. So maybe that one did have it. I don't know. Now I just have. We'll wait for Ryan to come back with answers.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to Google Cloud, where we actually maybe understand more what's going on, or not. If you are worried about things like zero trust losing their meaning, the other great example of something that's lost its meaning is the term going digital and what going digital means. And Google is here this week with the launch of a new dedicated digital assets team. This is building on their work with blockchain developers, exchanges, and others as they announced using the new dedicated digital assets team with Google Cloud to support their customers building, transacting, storing, and deploying new products on blockchain-based platforms. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know anybody who thought digital meant blockchain. But apparently, if you put digital and assets together, that equals blockchain. I learned something new this week. The new team will enable their customers to accelerate their efforts in the emerging space and help underpin the blockchain ecosystems. Google points out that companies like Hedera, Theta Labs, Dapper Labs have all chosen to build their solution on top of Google Cloud for scalability, flexibility, and security. And the digital asset team will take a number of short and long-term initiatives to support customers with digital asset blockchain ecosystems, including providing dedicated node hosting and remote procedure call nodes for developers, allowing users to deploy blockchain validators on Google Cloud with a single click, participation in node validation and on-chain governance with some partners, help developers host their nodes on the cleanest cloud in the industry, of course, because it's green, even though they're doing blockchain, which is not green, support on-chain governance via participation from Google Cloud execs and senior engineers, and hosting several public BigQuery datasets on the marketplace, including full blockchain transaction history for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Dash, Litecoin, Zcash, Theta, Hedera, Hashgraph, Band Protocol, Polygon, RP, and Dogecoin, because everyone uses Dogecoin, and driving all this code development for the Google Cloud Marketplace. Of course, the first big customer will be the IRS as they now try to hash and understand the blockchain so they can tax it properly. But so far, so good.
So my first question for the digital assets team is, for each digital asset, do I need to generate a unique stock keeping unit, or otherwise known as a SKU? Because we're just going to bend all this silly digital terms, of these things. It's ridiculous.
And then do you have to put it into an NFT wrapper, or so all the questions.
I will also, not to get all like tech bro on you and push the glasses up. Blockchain is not terribly environmentally unfriendly. Mining digital currency is, but blockchain is just a ledger.
That's true, but to get the data on the ledger, and to use the blockchain, I do have to mine something that's just bad for the environment. So I hear you. You're cutting hairs, but it seems not great.
But the proof of work, I think he's right? The proof of work associated with cryptocurrency is different from just using blockchain technology.
Well, proof of work is what validates the blockchain. There are alternates. There's proof of stake, which Ethereum is moving to, which does not require the huge amount of compute and power.
Right.
But yeah, there's very few blockchains using proof of stake.
That's what mine's going to use when I invent it.
Yeah, but I mean, mining is literally getting paid for validating the blockchain. So you can't have transactions on blockchain without the miners, who are actually the processors, who get paid for their work validating the chain. So they kind of go hand in hand.
So technically, I was correct, Ryan. Huh.
Yeah, I take it all back.
But I mean, yeah. environment, whatever.
All right. Well, Cloud Bigtable, to counteract your bills for your environmental damaging of the blockchain, now supports auto scaling, plus several new features for optimizing your costs and improved manageability. Bigtable is a fully managed, of course, scalable NoSQL database service for large operational and analytical workloads used by many leading businesses across multiple industries, per Google. Google is announcing the GA of autoscaling that automatically adds or removes capacity in response to the changing demand for your applications. As autoscaling, you only pay for what you need, and you can spend more time on your business instead of managing your infrastructure. In addition to autoscaling, they have also recently announced a 2x storage limit, allowing you to store more data for less money, cluster groups to provide flexibility on how you route app traffic to ensure a greater experience for all users, and more granular utilization metrics to improve observability, troubleshooting, and workload management, and also, I'm sure, billing for Google.
I mean, 2 times the data for the same price, and it auto scales. I'm in. This is rad.
Yeah, I love good big tables.
I love announcements like this.
And with the you use a Bigtable thing to now look at all of those data sets of the blockchain to understand where your money went. So it's great. Win-win.
True.
Or did you hear about the YouTuber who created his own cryptocurrency?
No.
Just so that people would buy into it.
I thought that was a joke. I really did think that was the beginning of a joke.
Yeah.
It is.
Englishman and Irishman and a cryptocurrency nerd walked into a bar. Yeah, so he created his own currency. His supporters bought into the currency, and he cashed out really quickly, pump and dump, and took them for their $500,000. So, yeah.
Oh, it says, yeah. I would have gone for more if I was doing that.
Hey everyone, Jonathan here. I just wanted to take a minute to thank the cloud consulting gurus at Foghorn for helping make the Cloud Pod possible. These folks truly get it. Cloud consulting experts since 2008, they are premier tier partners with AWS, Google Cloud Platform Silver, and Microsoft Azure partners. From multi-cloud to containers to moving full production workloads to the cloud under the tightest compliance, Foghorn's team of full-stack cloud engineers have been there, done that, gotten the t-shirt, and are ready to share their experience with you. If you're in the market for some talent to supplement your team, visit www.fogops.io/thecloudpod. www.fogops.io/thecloudpod. Foghorn, the promise of cloud delivered.
All right, moving to Azure. They have announced the public preview of multitasking in the cost analysis preview. And this is because they're so cutting edge that they decided to announce in a blog post that they now support tabs in the cost management analysis feature. Public preview includes a new tabbed experience to streamline your analysis as you drill into costs. And while I do make fun of this, I have many times wished for tabs in the AWS console, trying to compare certain spend types. So as much as I hate everything about this announcement on principle, I do sort of wish this could get copied by others. So
here's another perspective. You want people in your UI team who are friggin' get excited about things like this. So excited they want to write a blog post about it.
That's a good point. I do want people that excited.
Which, I mean,
because those are the people that are going to put that at a level of investment.
If we're going to use that lens to apply to Azure, I am a little concerned that everything else that everyone else is doing at Azure, they're not excited about because they're not writing blog posts about it. I mean, if it was any other cloud, Peter, I think I'd be okay with what you just said. But with Azure, I'm like, oh, that's a bit rough.
The marketing team seems really proud of their naming. Yeah,
that new logo.
Premium, right? The new logo.
Is the story also in the lightning round?
Yeah.
It is not. It is not. And because we didn't do a show review before we started recording, you guys didn't punt it there, but I put it here because I just wanted to complain about it. So
Well, I'll paste it in there. We'll talk about it later too. But really, if you need tabs for comparison, surely that's a shortcoming of the cost tool itself. Surely you should be able to analyze and compare different sets of data in one pane, than have to flick back and forth between two.
Well, I mean, like if you want different time horizons, I could see where that, yes, different different types of costs, sure, should be able to in the same graph on the same timeline. But if you want to look like I want a month view, and then I want to look at a quarterly view, and I want to see, that might be two different tabs. That might be a little more complicated.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's just that the finance people are so used to having 50 tabs open in Excel, 50 sheets open in Excel. They just want to feel at home in the Cost Explorer in Azure now, and so now they can have that satisfaction of looking super busy.
I mean, I will say there's not I don't like any solution out there for visualizing cost and spend and trending and forecasting. Like I always feel like there's always some shortcoming. Either I can't compare, date range over date range, or I can't, isolate specific data to call it outliers. So I kind of agree with your statement there, which is it'd be nice if the tool was a lot more functional instead of just multiple versions of it.
So I did find a tool that I actually liked. For cost management that didn't cost an arm and a leg. So
really,
it's called Tevity, Tevity, and an enterprise license for unlimited data will cost you only $1,000 a month or €1,000 a month. So it's like what, $1,250-ish.
And then do you store your own data like in your own infrastructure and process it, or
Yep. You
do they do it?
You can
Perfect.
You can do it either way, but they also have a partner thing. So if you're a partner, you can resell their product to your customers, which is cool. But for a cost perspective, it's super cheap, and it supports AWS, GCP, and Azure. So just.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm going to go right now.
Yeah.
Must have, must buy.
Yeah. I mean, for the price, I was like, I can't argue with this product. I mean, Is it perfect? No. Does it give me all the visualizations that I ever wanted in Cloud Health and all the other tools that I was paying 3% of my monthly fee for? Yes, it does. Perfect. I will take this and I will take it to the bank. So
nice
tip for you guys. New performance and logging capabilities have come to Azure Firewall service. And as well as some other enhancements. First of all, currently Azure supports 30 gigabits per second, which is sufficient for most customers. However, they do see some customers needing more throughput, and so they have added new capabilities, increasing that from 30 gigabits to 100 gigabits per second, almost a 300% increase in Firewall with the Firewall Premium Boost, because of course it's called Premium Boost. You can enable this on your firewall at any time, and you will now charge more money as your more throughput goes through the firewall. If you are also complaining that you have your traffic being blocked by a specific rule in your firewall, but you couldn't figure out which one it was, their new feature for network rule name logging will now help you out, which allow you to identify with additional metadata added to your network logging which rule it was. So originally you had source, destination, IP, and port, and the action either allow or deny. At the new functionality, you get the policy name that blocked it, the rule collection group, the rule collection, and the rule name hit. So you can now pinpoint exactly what's blocking your traffic. And if you're curious how your Azure Firewall performs, they've written an entire white paper where they've given you all of the information you want to know about Azure Firewall performance that helps support your growth to 100 gigabits per second through the Azure Performance white paper. So there you go.
I don't care about the white paper, but that rule name logging is pretty convenient.
Yeah,
that's just neat. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that one as well. I was like, I've been in, some of the things like, look at what is on the VPC where you're doing the flow logs, and you're like, I just want
the simulator,
the simulator too, but I just want a little more metadata, just a little bit more. It would really help me out tremendously.
Yeah, you name all your rules starting with the numerals, right? So that they go in the predictable order, and then you start like enabling and disabling them in order until you can recreate them. This is much better than that.
Brian, I don't know if you remember our first POC on AWS that we were doing on your network. This would have come in really handy.
Yes. That's how I learned how Amazon VPC ACLs worked. Or didn't.
Yep.
Yes, the lovely ACL and the security group, because we like to be confusing in all ways. So, well, the Oracle RSS feed has delivered once again this week with some doozies, let me tell you. There was over 100 blog posts. I had to say that Oracle marketing is on point. Like, they are blogging like crazy. And sometimes they blog things like this. multi-cloud strategies should consider Oracle Cloud to modernize legacy Oracle footprints. Which, yeah, you should. Because if you're spending billions of dollars on Oracle licenses, you should definitely get a deal by moving it to Oracle Cloud so they can put your logo on their website and get a significant discount on your Oracle database. I just have to say it's the best thing you could ever do. And this is an entire article about how you should do that with many examples, including Shared Services Canada's CTO basically saying budget reductions are going to be a shock to the system. And while government organizations might be experiencing some of that already, it's going to hit really hard in the next couple of budget cycles. On top of budget limitations, the government of Canada is grappling with an erosion of experienced information technology resources, with close to 44% of these employees now eligible for retirement. This scenario is going to force departments and ministries to assess their most critical functions, prioritize, and then figure out how to deliver those services as efficiently and effectively as possible. Part of the solution is accelerating the migration to cloud to reduce their dependency on dwindling internal resources. And his plan is move it all to Oracle. There you go.
So isn't that really just a rehashing of the same problem that, most IT professionals have been doing for the last 20 years? Yeah. I mean, on the other hand, I don't want to manage my own legacy Oracle footprint. And so the fact that they're going to take that, move it to the cloud, and then run it for me, I'm all for that.
So many times here on the Cloud Pod, we have joked that Oracle's regional strategy is in people's garages with a rack or two. They just plug into the wall and hope for the best. And Oracle apparently wanted to respond to that by giving us a blog post called "See What Powers Our Cloud Regions: A Look Inside an Oracle Cloud Data Center," which is fantastic. It gives you an overview of their regional strategy, which they do not debunk my strategy that they're using garages and storage bin somewhere with racks of servers. So they don't discount that with the region part. And then they give us a video, folks, of the Oracle Cloud Data Center itself, where they show you things as amazing as power distribution, water cooling distribution, N+1 architecture of a data center that you've hopefully seen in every data center you've ever toured. And then they go into a bunch of buzzword bingo with multiple layers of security and build to scale and industry-leading resiliency controls. But again, they didn't say which data center this was or if they all look the same, but at least one of their data centers is a legit data center. The rest of them could still be garages.
Even if it is. Putting a video together today that shows dual power supplies is like, I feel like I'm going to a party and I'm dressing in 90s clothes.
That's funny. I had to laugh at the blog poster's name, Croft. You wonder why the Oracle blog's full of full of the things it is.
It's Croft, yeah.
The guy's name's literally Croft.
Croft.
I hit play on this video and it's playing, and I forgot that they showed us the man trap, because every high quality secure data center has a man trap. Yes.
It's all a person trap nowadays.
Is that, are they call that? Oh yeah, sorry.
Oh God.
There was actually, we were talking about some technology the other day, and I was like, that name actually makes me somewhat uncomfortable. It's not the master slave thing, which is also bad, but there was a different one, and I was just like, I'm surprised this hasn't gotten replaced with some better name. I have to think what that was, but like you start having this like wow, in this new politically correct world we live in, that name is not really great. It's just one unfortunate thing after another. And then the final gift from the Oracle blog feed. They had a whole blog post about Oracle Visual Builder. And can any of you guys guess what the Oracle Visual Builder is?
I don't want to guess.
I'm stuck on data centers now, so I'm like, well, I can visualize my server rack. I got nothing.
No. Yeah. Visual Builder is a no-code solution, folks.
Oh no!
You can visually create logic flows within the Visual Action Chain Editor, and then publish that to their application, connected to your Oracle database. You're paying way too much money for this use case for, by the way. And get a web page that you can take some basic data in as a no-code solution. So I thought you guys would be super excited, because another great no-code solution is always great.
No.
All right, well, that ends our preview of the lightning round. And let's go to the real lightning round now.
For the next episode, we're going to be charging you for that preview.
AWS Cloud Map API now supports IPv6.
Because my distributed systems aren't confusing enough. Excellent.
I just started thinking about the map of IPv6. I'm like, oh, that's one of those really detailed. I got to get the magnifying glasses out. I got to really peek at the map, because you can't see all those IPs. It's hard to see.
I wonder if they're going to charge you per IP.
They do for the AWS IP address manager.
Mm-hmm.
Got to think again before you deploy that /64 subnet.
What comes next is the next rev IPv8. It's called MAC addresses. Amazon RDS Performance Insights now supports query execution plan capture for RDS for Oracle.
I look forward to the next feature, which takes this execution plan and tells you how much cheaper it would be on Postgres.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad when they have to deliver features like this, where it's like, this is going to be expensive.
Yep. Amazon SageMaker Autopilot adds support for Apache Parquet file format.
Every time I see Parquet, I just think parrots. Parrots for some reason.
Parakeet, that's right. I was going to make a bird joke, but I didn't think anyone else would get it.
I'm right there with you. I was like, yeah, fair enough.
That's interesting because I either think wooden parquet floors.
Oh, so that's because you're older than us.
Or I think I am. Well, I am. The other one is parkour. I think of parkour.
Parkour, yeah, the jumping around and stuff. Sure.
Yeah.
I thought of croquet, which is, it's so I don't know what that says about me.
Kind of croquet. Croquet with.
Suddenly, I'm picturing you wearing a polo shirt and fancy shorts out in the yard
with a giant mallet.
Yeah. Improved progress updates for blue-green deployments in Amazon OpenSearch service.
I much prefer just thinking the thing that crashed and died in a horrible death while I was trying to change its shape or whatever. But whatever. You can give me visualization that you're now doing blue-green deployment. Thanks.
Yeah. Statuses include things like time to book your tickets to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Still deploying.
That chart is gone. Yeah, I think this is most requested by the AWS console team, right? So it's like, quit refreshing the page.
Yeah, really. Amazon Kinesis Data Firehose now delivers to Honeycomb.
What could possibly go wrong? A no-code solution that's just going to consume.
No. Wait, endlessly. No. Honeycomb is a company that makes a monitoring tool. I made this mistake as well.
Oh, I read that as Honeycode.
Yeah, I know. That's the next story.
Okay.
Honeycomb, though, is the monitoring tool. And, if anybody can actually take Kinesis Data Firehose data and actually use it, it's Honeycomb because their product can scale pretty well.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
I totally read Honeycode as well. I wonder if I said Honeycomb or Honeycode.
You said comb. I listened for it.
Oh, good.
All right.
Awesome. Good job, Peter. Okay. I give myself a point for that.
Yeah.
Amazon AppFlow now provides Amazon Honeycode connectivity to several cloud applications.
So it's gone from not useful to barely useful.
I was thinking that someone hadn't forgotten about Honeycode. I was just impressed. It's been like a year since they released anything for this product that was supposed to be the future of Amazon.
Yeah.
Finally got a feature, a year later.
Wait, the future of Amazon? Who said that?
There was a whole bunch of articles about how they were, no code is going to be this big future push for them. And they hired all these experts in no code and how they were going to revolutionize the market. And then they released Honeycode and we all laughed at them and how ridiculous it was. And then they haven't released a single feature since December of 2020, I think. So great. Thanks.
And they also haven't renamed it.
I mean,
which is the biggest failure.
Which is the definite biggest failure. I mean, this just means that there's hope that SimpleDB will still get a feature someday.
It is. Or maybe the whole AppFlow integration is just to help people export stuff out of Honeycode.
No, that could be. Yeah.
Shut it down. While Amazon Textract adds synchronous support for single-page PDF documents and support for PDF documents containing JPEG 2000 encoded images.
I mean, I have two thoughts on this. Number one, you're telling me that Textract could not handle a single-page PDF prior to this release?
No, that's what it means. It means that you can sit there and wait for it to give the answer back instead of asynchronously having to poll for it to. Are you done yet? Are you done yet? Are you done yet?
That's stupid. And then who uses JPEG 2000 in 2022? Come on.
This is a good question.
Healthcare.
It would only be healthcare.
Yes, healthcare.
Yeah, fair point.
AWS Step Functions adds... Is this real?
Yes.
AWS Step Functions adds mocking support for testing workflows locally.
Hey, developer, you suck.
Exactly.
I mean, I like to mock the developers who use Step Functions, but now, I mean, at least they can mock their work before they try to put it in production. That's good.
Yeah.
You call that an API?
Yeah. Who designed the state machine? Rube Goldberg?
Amazon MSK now offers the ability to scale storage throughput up to 1,000 megabytes per second per broker.
Because that's what everyone needs is a Kafka queue that can perform at 1,000 megabits per second. If that's your architecture, I'm not sure this is the right solution, but
Yeah. What are you putting in there? Yikes.
The other end of the Amazon solution for MSK, though, is it's literally printing dollar bills as people use this service. So.
Exactly.
Oh, my goodness. All right. And let's wrap it up with Azure Key Vault. Increased service limits for not some of its customers, all of its customers.
Remember that Google announcement where, Bigtable now supports 2x the data for the same cost?
Yes.
Now we know what Azure Key Vault's based on.
Oh, nice.
I was thinking that, it's increased service limits for all customers until they released Azure Key Vault premium service limits.
Extra. All right. I got to give the winner to just the first one to jump in on the mocking one, since that one made me laugh before I even read it. So Jonathan gets the win.
I like it.
All right. Well, that's fine.
Thank you.
Well,
I'll take it.
It's only fair.
Yeah.
Well, things are coming up in the cloud world. I did more research, so I've continued to expand this list. But the most important one is if you want to do Azure Open Source Day, by the time this show drops, which would be, like 4 or 5 days before this happens, would be the Azure Open Source Day. So go do that. Sign up for that. It's online only. Go do all those fun things. And then after that, you have some more time to procrastinate. So you've got the SQL Server and Azure SQL Conference in April. You got IBM Think in May, KubeCon Europe in May, RSA Conference in June, and then a bunch of other stuff we don't care about yet. But I did find out a couple things to share. So first of all, AWS Summits are back this year once again. And so they will be between April and October for US, because we like to have 100 of them in the US leading up to reInvent. APACs will be in May. EMEA will have a few April through June, which is great. The DevOps Enterprise Summit is coming back to in-person. So if this is the DOES Summit, these are guys behind the Phoenix project and some of those things. So they have a virtual summit coming up May 10th through the 12th. And if you want to present there, you can actually submit a CFP. The registration is open for the virtual version of that event. But then they're going to do an in-person flagship event again in Vegas, October 18th through the 20th, which is pretty cool. I might try to get to that. And then reInvent is allegedly going to be November 28th to December 2nd, because that's what it's been for the last 5 years. It's a pretty good guess. They have said Reinforce is going to happen in person in Houston in June. So at least it's not July or August. So I'll give them that. Hopefully there won't be another variant wave of COVID to cancel that again in person. Otherwise, it's just the cursed conference, which is good. And then according to Mosconi's website, Google Next will be June 6th through June 8th. No word on Open World or Ignite or Build or any of those conferences still, but I'm keeping an eye out there for you in the world of events and things. And, again, we're getting to the point where it might be some in-person events, which would be nice. We'll see how it goes. So that's anything you guys excited about there in that list of events I just shared with you? No.
I'm still trying to visualize leaving the house.
We did get you out to reInvent. So, I mean, there is some concept of you leaving the house. I definitely will not be attending a summit this year. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I think I'm going to wait
for the content to virus, ratio there. Will I get good content that I care about versus getting coronavirus? I can't make that balance properly. So,
yeah,
I've wanted to go to Black Hat for a while, but it's just so expensive.
Yeah, I did. I was going to put Black Hat on the list. I did see that dates for that. I did put on this August 6th to the 11th. But, I had to buy another laptop just to burn when I got back. So that's an extra cost to your conference ticket you have to factor in. All right. Well, that's it for this week in the cloud. We'll see you next week.
See you later.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
And that is the Week in Cloud. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Foghorn Consulting. Subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and tweet us your feedback at #TheCloudPod. Or join our Slack channel. Go to our website, thecloudpod.net, for sign-up instructions.